Welcome to Alasquatch, the show all about Bigfoot in the great state of Alaska. I'm your host, Beans Baxter. So lace up your boots, zip up your coat, and come with me on an adventure as we explore all things cryptid in the last frontier. All right, Chuke, we got a big summer planned.
Yep.
Rod, Roy, you and I, we're going to get out, we're going to beat the bushes, we're going to look for Bigfoot and whatever else might be out there. His Batman, we're going to look for Rod Roy's Batman. And I'm curious, what type of techniques and just what are you going to bring to the field? What are you going to implement? Is there anything, a piece of equipment or research style that you're itching to bust out?
That's a good question. First of all, I'm just so excited because I didn't really meet you guys until the end of last summer. And by the time I was ready to plan something, it was already snowing. So we got a lot of time to plan these expeditions. I know one thing I'm going to do is when I was across the bay over at that Sasquatch Cove where my buddy has some land, people were telling me, oh, you're not going to see anything because you're talking loud and you've got a bright light, just like, that's going to scare anything away. And I think secretly I was so scared because of bears and everything that I was like, I had all the night vision stuff, but I wasn't going dark. We had a big spot lamp and we were talking. So I think deep inside, I just wanted to scare everything away because it was terrifying. But I think I'm going to be quieter. And, I think it was, who was the Tevin 270 guy? It was Jack O'Connor. He had this form of hunting. He was just a master hunter. He would take a few steps, and he hunted deer, everything. He would take a few steps, and then he would stop and listen. And he would just hear what was out there. It kept his footprint very low.
Yeah. I do that quite a bit. I will walk for a little while and then just stop. One, you can hear what's going on around you. Yeah. Two, I wasn't in the best shape, so it's a good chance to catch my breath.
Right.
But I really enjoy that style of hunting as well, where you're just really tuned into what's going on around you. Just shut up and listen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do have a decent thermal. So when I hung out with Alex Petikoff, he showed me some of the equipment he had. I thought that was awesome. So I have a decent thermal camera, and then I've got my PVS 14s I like to put on my helmet,
right
just
on.
Like BGI Joe out in the woods. Yeah. So that'll be
fun.
Well,
I wish I had some hands-free night vision stuff. Everything I do have a night vision scope, but it's a monocle.
Okay.
But yeah, I am gonna try and fashion some hair traps.
Oh. Okay.
I want to try and get some hair traps, and I want to fashion something and set it up high enough. I think that maybe hopefully we could roll out bear.
Right.
But we'll see. I'm still in the planning stages of how I'm going to implement that.
How does that work? Is that like a claw that they scrape some hair off of them?
Well, I'm torn between a couple of different designs. I kind of like the idea of having a can or something circular that they stick their hand in, and then some wire brushes or something sticky or tacky on the rib. And when they pull their hand out, some of the hair gets caught on it. Right. I'm leaning towards something like that, but I could see myself going another way too, with maybe some Velcro or some hooks or something that kind of hang up off a branch, maybe about 7 or 8 feet up. We'll see.
Nice. I do have a electromagnetic spectrum, some kind of sensor, which I think would be interesting to use. I want to get a plaster cast. Now, you've done some of that. You practice taking tracks.
I have there's a moose track that I cast myself. Very cool.
And I did download that app that Alex had that kind of takes a 3D thing of a track, which isn't bad.
I did too, but I haven't played with it. I haven't tested it. Something else I'm kind of keen on doing, but I haven't been in a position to where I could do it, is maybe bring in some bags or buckets of sand
Okay.
and maybe place them in strategic places around the campsite to try and capture footprints.
Okay. Awesome. One thing that I was too scared to do too is my buddy New York Prepper is getting into kind of Sasquatch hunting. He's in Pennsylvania, but he asked me, "Oh, have you done Bigfoot calling? You copy the vocalizations." And I was, on those expeditions I did, I was by myself, and I was way too terrified. I wasn't going to stand there and go "Grrr," and like call something in, but I think if I was with a group, I might be down for trying. What do you think about that?
I've done them before to varying degrees. I think the way I like to do things is when I go into an area, depending on how many days I'm going to be there, I like to be as non-invasive.
Okay.
Maybe go on a hike, and then as time progresses, it gets closer to time to leave, depending on what kind of activity is going on, ramp up. What I'm doing, my footprint, as you will. And basically, I usually will save vocalizations till either the second night or, toward the end, depending on how long I'm going to be out there. And I've used them to varying degrees of success. I've had returns. I've had coyotes answer.
Right.
I've had possibly Sasquatch answer. Wow. So it just kind of depends. One thing I've always wanted to do, but I've never had the guts to do, is play baby crying.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've heard the stories that they're attracted to that.
There's a Bigfooter from the Olympic Peninsula in Washington, and I believe, I don't want to say his name because I don't want to get it wrong, but I believe he's got a story about that where he's just like, I'll never do it again, never. And I've always wanted to do it.
Wow.
But I've never had the guts. So we'll see. If Rob Roy's with us, maybe I'll be brave enough to do it.
Yeah, if we're grouped up, that would be interesting. Wow. What about scents? Because I know with if you have a bear bait station, we'll get these bear bait bombs. And like the black bears like the sweet stuff, the brown bears like the meat. And what you do is, you've got your bait station, which is a giant huge drum full of dog food and popcorn and cayenne pepper, and then we'll let off the bear bomb that just for like 3 minutes shoots this sweet smell way up in the air. It's very effective. But I don't know, did Alex ever tell you about those little chips they had?
I've smelled them. Yeah, I ran into him at Crypticon and he had them with him.
Wow.
And it's bad. It's like a locker room times 100. It's pretty nasty. I've always, I go back and forth on baiting because on the one hand I think, it could be effective, but on the other hand I'm like, there's a lot of other things in the wood, like bears specifically. I don't want to bait because one, it's illegal. Two, I don't want to have to mess with a bear.
Right.
But yeah, I've heard from more than one source that Bigfoot are really big on sweet feed for like horses. And I've always wanted to try that as a bait.
Interesting.
But I imagine it would probably attract bears and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's the tough thing. When me and Chuck are bear hunting, it's not technically illegal because all the hunters kind of use this as their little trick, but you cook bacon in camp and then the bears smell that and just naturally you have a higher chance of seeing one. I don't know if a Sasquatch would like the smell of bacon, but I couldn't imagine that it would be repugnant to it because the bacon is just so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it kind of depends on the if there's a Sasquatch in the area, how hungry he is. And
yeah. I like how we're being more strategic about places we're going to go because there are some sightings and it's kind of interesting. We both got reports that are kind of in the same general area around here. So I think we're going to be intentional about, getting away from people, getting it to the edge of the road system and maybe pushing on a little past that. And that's where our chances for success are going to be.
Yeah, and I'll feel a lot bolder too with a group because I go, those places I was showing you. Most of the time when I go out there, I'll go out there by myself.
That's terrifying.
And like you said, I'll go up to a point. I'll do vocalizations. I'll do certain things, but there's certain like the baby crying and stuff like that. There's certain things I won't do. by myself. And, you know, I feel a little bit better knowing I'm going to have some people with me that are going to be watching my back.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I'm trying to think what other equipment I have now. I did pick up a infrared light, I think, that just kind of, you know, you could see urine on the ground or something. Some of that kind of stuff is interesting.
Yeah. I've got a black light right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think those are good.
I just got that. I haven't even used it.
Yeah. What do you think about thermal versus night vision? I feel like a lot of even military is kind of turning towards thermal a little more.
I think thermal is probably superior.
Yeah.
Which the night vision I have is really good if there's some ambient light to amplify. If the moon's out, if the stars are out, it's pretty good. But if it's dark, and there's no, I think it works on like the starlight technology. There's just no light to amplify. It's dark.
Right.
You can't amplify a negative.
Yeah.
But my thermal, it's heat. And if there's heat, it works. And it works even in places where my night vision doesn't really work so well. So I think, and you know, you can look at something through night vision, and if it's camouflage, if it's just standing back a little bit, maybe behind a brush or a thicket, and you're not going to see it, but heat signatures don't lie.
Yeah.
So, you know, the camouflage doesn't work with heat signatures unless they're, you know, under a space blanket or something. So
sound recording, I like that too, and game cams, of course. I have one game cam, so we could set up a little net of sound recorders and cameras.
So something I like to do, one of the techniques I always use is when I go out, anywhere I go, which I have multiple game cameras, I have several, I always put one up facing me, my sight and my tent, for a couple of reasons. One is like when I leave, if I go on a hike or if I go to fish or something, I'll turn it on, and if something comes into my camp, I'll see it. If somebody comes in with nefarious purposes and takes my stuff, I'll see it.
Right.
And then I always turn it on at night when I get in my tent and go to sleep. Again, for two reasons. If something comes into my tent or into my sight, I'll see it. But if something happens to me, it'll get recorded, hopefully. So those are some techniques that I use when I go out. And plus, you know, if it's true what they say that trail cameras keep Bigfoot away,
right?
It's almost like a security blanket.
Yeah, I have heard that they know what they are and they just avoid them.
I've gone out with other people and I'll tell them, I'm like, look, this is what I do. I put a camera on my site while I'm here, you know, when I'm sleeping. If you want, you know, since I'm with somebody else, if you want, I won't turn it on. Like, I'll leave it off if you think it's going to scare the Bigfoot away. And, you know, some people say, no, go ahead and turn it on. Some people say turn it off. But yeah, that's a technique that I employ, and I'm a big proponent of that. I think that, you know, it's safety wise and you know, investigation wise, it's just a good idea.
Yeah, I think we've got some really good spots, though. We've got some spots on the peninsula here, out across the water, and then Rob's got some spots in Hatcher's Pass and some hot spots from people he knows up north there. So I think we got our work cut out for us.
Yeah, well, as soon as the snow falls, as soon as we get through breakup, we're going to be on it.
That's right. And I've got reports kind of from one of your hot spots that this old timer says that there's little Bigfoot with like big jagged teeth and giant feet, and they just sound like scary trolls or something. So, yeah, who knows what's out there? Well, hopefully we find it. I hope so. Safely. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Chuke, what's the name of your channel? Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. So all right. Check me out on YouTube. Yeah, he makes a lot of. He's a gun tuber. Overlander, hunter, man about town, whatever that means. All the above. Jack of all trades, master of them all too. I wish. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.